Have you ever looked at something ordinary and wished you could make it just a little more magical? Maybe you're an artist who loves experimenting with new ideas, an advertising specialist trying to capture attention in fresh ways, or even just someone who wants to add a little surprise and delight to your home. Imagine turning a child's bedtime storybook into something that feels alive, where the pages seem to move right before their eyes. Instead of a regular flat page, the book becomes a playful little animation that makes the reading experience unforgettable. That kind of magic, the kind that feels like a secret trick only you know, is what dynamic displays are all about. Usually, when we think of animations or moving images, we think of electronics. Screens, projectors, LED lights, things that plug into the wall or run on batteries. But here's where it gets exciting. Researchers at MIT have found a way to create these dynamic, moving displays without relying on electronics at all. Instead, they've tapped into a century-old optical illusion called barrier grid animation, also known as scanimation. If you've ever seen those novelty bookmarks or greeting cards where the picture seems to move as you tilt it back and forth, you've already had a taste of this. The magic happens with nothing more than paper, ink, and a patterned overlay that tricks your eyes into seeing motion where there isn't any. Here's how it works in the simplest way possible. You start with an image that isn't really one picture, but several different frames of an animation spliced together, like threads woven in a fabric. Then, you lay a patterned grid, something that looks a little like a picket fence or a series of lines, on top of it. When you move that grid across the image, different slices of the animation are revealed at different moments. Your brain stitches those glimpses together, and suddenly you're seeing motion where none exists. Slide the overlay, tilt it, or rotate it, and the picture comes to life. It's like flipping through a flipbook, except instead of turning pages, the barrier does the work for you. Up until now, this technique was pretty limited. Artists and designers who wanted to experiment with scanimations usually had to stick with straight-line patterns. That's fine if you just want something simple, but straight lines only go so far before they start to feel predictable. Enter the brilliant folks at MIT's Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence Laboratory, better known as CSAIL. They've created something they call FabObscura, a tool that takes barrier grid animation into entirely new territory. Instead of being locked into straight lines, FabObscura lets you create barriers with curves, zigzags, circles, spirals, you name it. All of a sudden, this old-school illusion opens up a world of creative possibilities. Teacha Sithapakdi, a PhD student at MIT and one of the lead researchers behind FabObscura, describes it as a one-size-fits-all system for anyone who wants to play with barrier grid animations. Think of it like Photoshop, but instead of editing photos, you're designing the secret patterns that make still images dance. What makes FabObscura so powerful is that it doesn't just let you pick from a list of preset shapes. You can literally type in mathematical equations, and the software will turn those equations into barriers that control the animation. If you type in a simple equation that stays constant, you'll get the traditional straight-line look. But if you type in a Soigny function, you'll get smooth, wavy barriers that make the animation ripple like waves across a lake. Suddenly, math becomes art, and art becomes interactive. The interface is designed to guide people, even if you're not a math whiz. You can play around with different equations, preview how the patterns behave, and watch as your images transform in real time. Maybe you want to design a swirling circular barrier that spins over an image, making it feel hypnotic. Or maybe you want something jagged and edgy that makes the picture stutter in an unexpected way. With FabObscura, you're not limited to what's been done before. You can invent your own style of animation, and it's not just about how the barriers look. The tool supports multiple kinds of interactions. You can design images that change depending on the angle you look at them from, or ones that animate as you physically slide or rotate the barrier over them. Let's say you upload a sequence of frames showing a horse galloping. Once you've set your pattern, FabObscura slices the images and generates a printable design. All you need is a regular printer, inkjet or laser, and a couple of transparent sheets. You print the barrier on one, the animation on another, and layer them together. Suddenly, you're holding a piece of paper in your hand that behaves like a miniature movie. No electricity, no screens, just clever design. One of the most fascinating features of FabObscura is something the researchers call nested animations. Imagine this. On a single surface, you can embed two completely different animations. Slide the barrier in one direction, and you see one story. Move it in another direction, and a totally different story appears. For instance, the team at CSAIL created a design where a car rotates when you move the barrier vertically. But if you slide it horizontally, the car transforms into a spinning motorcycle. It's like having two secrets hidden inside the same object, waiting for someone to discover them. These playful tricks open up endless possibilities for everyday objects. Imagine a coffee coaster that changes its icon depending on your mood or drink of choice. One moment it shows a steaming cup of coffee, press on one edge and it morphs into a martini glass, and press another edge and it shows a refreshing glass of water. The researchers even decorated a jar of sunflower seeds with an animation on the lid. Twist the top, and a sunflower blooms right in front of your eyes. It's such a small detail, but one that turns an ordinary jar into something that makes you smile every time you open it. For artists, designers, and creative thinkers, this is like being handed a brand new toolbox. Graphic designers could create posters that reveal different messages as you slide your hand across them. Printmakers could experiment with interactive prints that seem to move when displayed. Even packaging could be transformed. Imagine cereal boxes where the mascot actually waves at you, or construction signs that shift between warnings without requiring any electricity. The possibilities are as wide as your imagination. Of course, every tool has its limitations, and FabObscura is no exception. While nested animations are clever and dynamic, they don't always look as crisp as single-layer ones. Because the images are more complex, there's a risk of them looking cluttered or losing sharpness. The MIT team has provided some helpful guidelines to deal with this, like using fewer frames for nested animations and sticking with high-contrast images to keep everything clear. These tips help strike a balance between creativity and clarity. Looking ahead, the researchers have big plans for FabObscura. Right now, the tool works best when you upload individual frames of an animation, but in the future, they want users to be able to upload entire video files. The software would then automatically pick the best frames for you, making the process even more seamless. Imagine grabbing a clip from your favorite cartoon, dropping it into FabObscura, and printing out a scanimation you can hold in your hands. Even more exciting is the potential for moving beyond flat surfaces. So far, the system has been designed with handheld items in mind, things like books, pictures, and small toys. But what if the same principles were applied to larger, more complex objects? The team is already considering how to bring FabObscura into the world of 3D printing, where barriers and images could be embedded into objects themselves. Imagine a lamp whose shade reveals a hidden animation as you rotate it, or a piece of furniture that shifts designs depending on where you're standing in the room. The leap from flat sheets to three-dimensional creations could take this idea from novelty to art form. The beauty of FabObscura is that it blurs the line between science and creativity. On one side, it's deeply rooted in mathematics and computer science, using equations and algorithms to generate precise barrier patterns. On the other side, it opens up a playground for imagination, letting people of all backgrounds bring their wildest ideas to life without needing technical expertise. It's a reminder that innovation often happens at the intersection of disciplines. When math meets art, and when science meets play, you get something that feels a little bit like magic. And isn't that what we all want in some way? To take the everyday objects around us and infuse them with just a spark of wonder. With tools like FabObscura, the ordinary can become extraordinary. A coaster isn't just a coaster, a jar isn't just a jar, and a picture frame isn't just something to hold a snapshot. They're interactive experiences waiting to surprise us. Whether you're a child seeing your book come alive, an artist experimenting with new forms of expression, or simply someone who loves to tinker, FabObscura opens the door to a world where paper, ink, and a bit of clever design are all you need to bring ideas to life. And that's the real magic here. It's not about the technology for technology's sake. It's about giving people the freedom to play, to create, and to see the world a little differently. It's about finding joy in motion where there is none, and discovering that even the most ordinary objects can hold a story just waiting to be revealed. MIT's FabObscura may have started in a lab, but its true potential lies in the hands of anyone who dares to imagine. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Also, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of my future uploads. If you know someone who would enjoy this video as much as you did, share it with them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.